Pro Boxing Fans here with Eddie Hearn. Eddie, looking at the top table, we saw yourself, Lawrence Okolie, Galal, Yafai, Olympians. You've had it quite easy signing the Olympians in the past. Luke Campbell's, we can make a list of it. In recent times, it hasn't been as easy. What do you put that down to? We know Fraser Clark's moved on. Ben Whittaker is still lurking about. There's talks of him maybe going to Sky. Has it been a bit more difficult moving to DAZN and trying to sign these people?
Not moving to DAZN, just the fact that there's people spending crazy money in boxing, and you just have to decide whether you want to make a bad business call or you have to choose wisely. I think that's a better idea. So the Olympians that we've signed in the past, we signed because the deal was right. We liked the fighters. They were great fighters. They're all great fighters. But it's just the game's changed a little bit now in terms of what do you feel like that fighter's worth and how do you move that fighter? With Galal, like we've ended up signing, so far we've signed Chev Clark, we've signed Galal Yafai, the gold medalist. I mean, there's only 2 gold medalists from the Olympian. We got one of them and one's unsigned in Lauren Price. So I think that for me, if Galal Yafai turned around to me and said, I want 2 years of fighting 6 and 8 rounders on the kind of money that's going around at the moment, I don't think I would have been a player for Galal Yafai. As good as he is, and he's the best, in my opinion, I think he was a standout from Tokyo. I said to him, you don't need 6 rounders. You can win a world title in 5 or 6 fights. So let's go out, do something different. Let's be in a 10-round fight. But I'm not interested as well in a bid up. Okay. So you either want to be with me because you believe I'm the best at what we do, or if not, no worries, you can go as well. And in the Fraser Clark incident, I saw the Fraser Clark deal. It was absolute madness. And I said to 258, take the deal now. I ain't getting anywhere near that deal. So sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes we might think a fighter has more value than someone else. But, we've signed 2 of the Olympians. I think Sky have signed 2 of the Olympians as well, in Dubois and Fraser Clark. There's still a couple out there.
Ben Whittaker? Any talks with him?
Yeah. I mean, Ben Whittaker's talking to us. He's talking to Sky. He's talking to Top Rank. He's talking to PBC probably. But again, I rate Ben Whittaker very highly. But if you're a long-term player, if you believe in yourself, you don't worry about 50, 60, 100 grand right now. You're going to make multi-millions of pounds if you're good enough and with the right team of people. Some people want to tie you down in 5-year deals. It's the worst thing you could ever do for your career. But it depends. If you believe in yourself, AJ's a great example. AJ could have signed the worst contract ever. There was times early on in his career he could have made so much more money to be with someone else than us. But long term, he wouldn't have made a 1/10 of what he made. So he was one of the smart ones. And, but it's tempting, especially for an older fighter who's looking at it going, I can buy a house with my signing bonus. Like Fraser's a great example. Fraser's done 1,000,000% the right thing.
Eddie, looking at the current crop of fighters, we saw last weekend Amir Khan, Kell Brook on pay-per-view. When you look at the current British level fighters, I'm sure you're going to put someone like Lawrence Okolie, you want to push him up to pay-per-view level. How quick do you want to...
Pay-per-view? No, I mean, look, we see the pay-per-view figures last week were probably half of what they expected, right, for a number of different reasons. Nothing to do with the show, just this is the reflection of pay-per-view. This is why I made my move. You're going to see pay-per-view for big nights. It will always exist. But things are changing. People don't want to pay the additional pay-per-view price every other month like was happening before, right? There's an illegal streams, which are a major problem, and we actually need to get on top of that as well. But for me, it's not... I don't need to make Lawrence Okolie a pay-per-view star because we've got a different model now. In fact, and I was always under pressure to do pay-per-views because the purses are going like that and the rights fees aren't. So how do you pay for a big fight? The way you do it is to put it on pay-per-view. Look at PBC right now. Do you honestly think the PBC want to put Furman Barrios, put Ortiz against Charles Martin on pay-per-view? Of course they don't. They know they're going to flop. But it's the only way to try and generate the money to get the deal right. So if I'm a fighter, right, fighters are fascinated with being pay-per-view, right? It's going to be, trust me, like you're going to get fighters, and you probably got 2 at the weekend, who thought they were going to make this. They actually made this. And this is going to be something that's going to become more and more regular with that model. Pay-per-view should be sparingly for big fights. And Khan Brook, in my opinion, is a pay-per-view. And I would have put it on pay-per-view, even on DAZN. But your standard stuff, that we used to do as pay-per-view with a big card and a big night of action, it's, you know, we saw the trend. Still doing solid numbers, but it's not, you know, solid's not spectacular.
But my question is then, how quick do you want to push him, Lawrence Okolie up to the heavyweight division? Because we look at the cruiserweights, they're not, the casuals are not going to be watching.
Well, they are. You know, it's my job to make the casuals watch, and Lawrence's job, you know, to be exciting, to be entertaining, to knock people out. But it just, you know, it's not just a case of. It's about creating a journey and creating legacy. So I'm saying to him, you're going to be heavyweight world champion, but we have to clean up this cruiserweight division first. I could move him up to cruiserweight now and stick him in with, I don't know, I mean, he's mates with Chisora, but, you know, like Dubois or Joyce, and he could make loads of money. But again, long-term player. If you're good enough, you're going to make a lot of money progressively, and you're going to be making the right moves, you're going to be improving, you're going to be building yourself in a position to make the mega money when you move up to heavyweight. And he should, in my opinion, unify the division first, because he could clean them all out. But we'll see how he gets on Sunday, because this is a really tough fight.
Just quickly talking about Olympians, moving away from this, there's a lot of talk about Kambosos Lomachenko going through, but there's still talks with Haney at this present time. What's the latest with that?
Yeah, we're still in talks. I mean, I think we're live in that fight. It's the fight to make. You know, Lomachenko, great fighter, but it's not undisputed. And Kambosos has got a chance to be undisputed without any arguments at all. Devin Haney's ready to take the same deal as Lomachenko. He's ready to get on the plane, and we'll see where those talks go. DAZN pushing very hard for that fight. They want that fight badly. So, fingers crossed.
Another one, you lost purse bids to Andrade Parker, but just today, looking at boxing scene, David Benavidez's promoter came out and said, you said in a video that let's make this fight happen. They've had no contact. What's going on with that?
Well, the plan was, the route originally was for Demetrius Andrade to fight Zach Parker, Lemieux fights Benavidez, and then the winners fight the winners down the line. So we'll now go to Samson Leskovic and make him an offer for David Benavidez fight. And if that's the case, then we'll do that one. Or he could still do the Zach Parker fight in the UK. But you know, unfortunately, we keep getting in a position with Demetrius Andrade where we don't have the dance partners for it to be a big fight. No disrespect to Zach Parker, he's a good young fighter, but no one's ever heard of him in the US. So, and my bid reflected that accordingly, even though I lost by, 70,000. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll take that fight, we'll have to see.
Just a final one then. Obviously, we know the contracts have been signed for Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte. John Fury put out a video in there. He had a little dig at himself. He goes, I'm happy to see Eddie Hearn sick. Well, what do you make of sort of the Furies, sort of, you know, not insults, but they don't really like you, do they? So what do you make of that?
To be honest with you, not many people do. But, I mean, the problem is, like, you can't... Tyson Fury and John Fury, I like them, right? They're also, they're not idiots. They know how much bigger he would be if I was promoting him. They know I'm the best promoter in the world. But we've always had this little bit of back and forward. I think they're both very entertaining. And I think Dillian Whyte's going to beat Tyson Fury. We'll see if it happens. There's still things that are going on. We had meetings this morning resolving different pieces. I mean, it's supposed to be April 23rd at Wembley. There's not really time. Like, you've got to get coach package. I mean, but I think Dillian Whyte can win the fight, and I'll be behind him all the way.
Cool. Eddie Hearn, thank you very much for talking to Pro Boxing.